I have my two bobbins here. They're done. I'll hold one up so you can see it in a close-up in case you missed the previous video. There we go. That is one pretty bobbin. They have 50 grams each, and I think they're so pretty it's almost a shame to take them off the bobbins, but yeah, it's a necessary next step in creating the yarn. So what I'm going to do next is ply, and plying is when you take 2 or more threads and you twist them together, and that creates a stronger yarn. I usually do 2-ply, so this is a 2-ply. You could do 3-ply or 4-ply, 5-ply, as many as you'd like, I suppose. There's no limit because there's no spinning police. These bobbins I spun clockwise. I usually spin them clockwise, and what you then do is twist them together. You are going to spin counterclockwise, so ply counterclockwise. I'm going to do this on my e-spinner. I'll haul it over. That's right here. For some reason, I don't enjoy plying as much as I do spinning, and I got the e-spinner quite some time. Well, I got the e-spinner when I kind of busted my knee. I did something stupid, and I go through phases. Sometimes I'm really, really into knitting, and sometimes I get really into spinning. And I was in a spinning phase, and I didn't know what to do if I couldn't spin. So I do use it also for spinning. It's kind of fun to have multiple projects going, I think. But I mainly use it for plying, and I think it's wonderful for plying. And so let's get this set up and put these two beautiful bobbins on the plying rack or lazy Kate, and let's get going. See how fast we can finish this. It's not the goal is not to finish it as fast as possible, but the goal is to make a nice yarn. I have to remind myself that I don't like plying. It feels like a stupid step. So I'm twisting these together and it's curling up in itself, right? And what you hear a lot of the times is that you want a balanced yarn. A balanced yarn is when the yarn is just hanging like this and no longer, this one still twists, no longer twists in on itself. I personally don't like that because I find that I lose some twist when it goes on the bobbin, then I lose some more twist when I wash it, and I end up with this very loosely plied yarn, and I don't find it as fun to work with. Okay, let's actually start with the plying. I'm just feeding the threads onto the wheel. My right hand is making sure the twist doesn't travel down the threads so they won't unravel themselves, so I am holding it. My left hand guides the yarn, and I am making sure there are no little pigtails in there where the yarn is curling up on itself. This gives you a good look at the lazy Kate. I finished plying this yesterday and I took it off and realized that I accidentally did make a balanced yarn. So what I did was I put it through again. It might be a little bit over twisted now or more than I like, but I don't know, we'll just see. The next step is putting it on the niddy noddy. I'll twist it. It makes an awful sound. Twist it like so, and I'm going to tie the yarn up here, and then I'm going to go down here, up, down. It makes sense when you do it. And that creates a skein. And then the next step is I will count how many strings there are in the skein, and one time going around is 1.5 meters. So then we multiply the number of times it goes around by 1.5, and then we'll know how long the skein is. So anyways, okay, it's time to bind that on there. It doesn't look super over twisted. If it's anything like silk, and that was my worry because it was a balanced yarn, apparently very difficult to talk and do a slip knot at the same time. No, that's not what I want, friend. I should go the other way. So my worry with this was that it has a high silk content in there. And silk, what it does when you put it in water, or at least when you're washing it after you spun it, it relaxes like a person at a spa. And I was really, really worried that it would unravel. It happened to me the first time I spun silk. When I washed it, there were a couple of problems with that silk, really. I dyed it with cochineal and it just kept bleeding and bleeding. And then I washed it and it sort of unraveled. And I didn't use it for anything in the end. This, though, is absolutely gorgeous. So I'm hoping it will turn out well. I'm glad it's pretty thin. When I was working with the chaotic yarn or the wild yarn, I again realized that I don't actually like knitting with bulky yarns. Just don't find holding bigger needles very comfortable. Even though it was, I believe I knit it with 4.5mm needles, and that's still okay. I mean, this sweater is, I think this sweater was knit in 4.5, unless it was 4. It could be 4. But this I would work with in 3.5. And I find that much more comfortable on your fingers. It's thin enough that I think it might be the most meterage I've ever gotten out of a skein or out of fiber. So if you haven't seen the first video, this was 50% alpaca in light fawn or fawn and 50% silk. And I forget if it's tussa silk or mulberry silk. Overall, you could say that tussa silk has a bit of an easier grip for spinning, and mulberry silk is a little bit smoother, or a lot smoother perhaps, I don't know. It's time to tie the skein so we can take it off the mini knotty. I'm splitting the yarn through half, put the scrap yarn through from underneath, go round and through again, and then I tie it off. Okay, let's go again. Split this through half. Find the middle, sometimes a bit tricky. Put the scrap yarn through from underneath, go round, through again, and then we tie it off. There is she. There it is. I honestly thought it would be more energized. But it seems rather relaxed. I don't know what to say. It's I'm quiet because it's so beautiful. I think it's really, really pretty. Oh my goodness. It's really gorgeous. As you can see, there's variation in the thickness of the yarn. Take this bit, for instance, and this one and put them together and you'll see. Well, I'm not sure that shows up on camera, but there is some variation in the thickness of the yarn, and that is okay. Now that we have the skein off the niddy noddy, it's time for a wash. I'm putting this in a lukewarm to warm bath with no rinse detergent and leave it in there for about 15 minutes. This will allow the twist to set. Okay, it is finished, and this is it. I have it washed. It's washed, it's dried. It's very, very soft, and I think it's absolutely gorgeous. The color comes from the alpaca, and the shine comes from, I don't know if that shows up on camera, but there is a bit of a shine to it, and that comes from the silk. The silk was white, so it has lighter bits in there as well. Now, this is only 300 meters. Finding a pattern is going to be a bit of a challenge for me. It's always easier to find a yarn with a pattern than it is to find a pattern that goes with a yarn. I would make a lace shawl with this because I really love that, but 300 meters is not a lot. So what I could do is spin more, or I could also combine it with this skein of Tussa silk, this 50 grams that I spun last year. It's about the same thickness. This is a little bit thinner, I think. And it's only 160 meters. Meters! It's only 160 meters, but so combined it would be 460 together. That means that I could make a smaller lace shawl like the Stella Maris by Anna Victoria. But I'm not sure yet because it does feel different. So this is very light and airy. And this feels more, it's a little bit more dense in a sense, I think. I don't know, but the colors go together really well. So there will be an update on that at some point, but I'm not going to get this on the needles very soon. What I'm going to do with this first, the coming week, is to not store it yet. It's not going to go in any storage container or Ziploc bag, nothing. I'm just going to put it on my desk and admire it every time I pass it by. And maybe touch it, because this is absolute luxury. It's so soft. It's so soft. I wish you could feel it through the camera. It's amazing. And it's beautiful. And I have to say, it's beautifully spun. It's one of the, it's so arrogant, but it truly is one of the most beautiful things I've ever spun. I think it might be the best thing I've ever spun up till now. I'm at this point right now when I'm making stuff, well, not with the wild yarn. Other than that, I'm at this point now where I think everything that I make is the most beautiful thing I've ever made. So I'm extremely excited about this and about how it feels and how soft it is, what it looks like. I love, as you can see, like I love these natural colors. And here is the finished yarn once more. I hope you enjoyed seeing this transform into the yarn it is right now. Until next time.